What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I expect many of you watched the bore fest that was the leadership debate on the special edition of Question Time last night, where each party leader got 30 minutes taking questions from the audience, heavily biased of course, it's the BBC, and of course the Prime Minister having to deal with being constantly interrupted. Apparently from reports it's about 45 times, I didn't count it, but it was a lot, and a hell of a lot more than the rest of them. Maybe as many as the rest combined. I don't know for sure. Either way, one thing that is certain is the fact that it was a heavily Remain biased audience. What a surprise there. But what we are going to look at today is two audience members who absolutely destroyed Jo Swinson. One of them being a Leaver and the other one being a Remainer. And possibly a previous Lib Dem voter who will no longer vote for Jo Swinson because of her policy to revoke Article 50 unilaterally. In other words, sticking her finger up to the 17.4 million people who voted in the referendum. The Telegraph picked up on this story, and I also have a recording from last night's show. So we'll start off with the Telegraph and then we'll go over the clip itself. The Telegraph's article headlines, Jo Swinson savaged by Leavers and Remainers for Lib Dem's Brexit policy during Question Time Leaders Special. And this article's by Christopher Hope, Chief Political Correspondent. Liberal Democrat leader Jo Swinson was savaged by both Leave and Remain voters for her decision to fight the election on a policy of cancelling Brexit and revoking Article 50. Members of the Question Time audience lined up to criticise her for fighting the election on a flagship policy of stopping Brexit. I don't think we should criticise her, I think we should thank her because it's absolutely ruined her chances of getting any decent amount of votes. One Leave voter asked Miss Swinson whether trying to revoke Article 50 confirmed to 17.4 million people that you think we are stupid and didn't know what we were voting for. A Remain supporter then told her that the party's policy had cost you my vote. The Liberal Democrat title is a misnomer. How can you defend that decision? So you can already see from the questions that are asked, it's not looking good. And they don't cover the whole story. So let's listen to the clips that I've got from last night's show.
Okay, I want to do something slightly different. I want to take two questions in a row from two named people. So can I hear from Catherine Fox and then Sue Lenkowski? So Catherine, that's you over there, right.
Is revoking Article 50 confirming to 17.4 million people that you think we're stupid and didn't know what we were voting for?
Sue?
I'm a passionate Remainer. But the Liberal Democrats standing on a manifesto to unilaterally cancel Brexit and the Electoral Pact has absolutely cost you my vote. The Liberal Democratic Party title is now a misnomer. How can you defend that decision?
Well, there you see it. Both Brexiteers and Remainers are not impressed with this undemocratic spunk trumpet's policy to revoke Article 50, which should have surprised absolutely no one. And I guess it is something the polls have got right, because let's be honest, regardless of what Jo Swinson tries to say, the Lib Dems have nosedived in the polls since moving to a straight revoke Article 50 position. She has sabotaged her own party's chances of getting more MPs, either through stupidity or negligence. I actually said in a video before the Lib Dem conference where the revoke policy was announced, the only reason the Lib Dems are calling for a referendum is because they know going to a straight revoke policy will put them at odds with a lot of Remainers, never mind Brexiteers. I guess I was right in stating the obvious, unless of course you are Jo Swinson, in which case the obvious seems to escape you every time. But what more should we expect from the woman whose fantasy politics claims she could be the next Prime Minister, when in actual fact she could end up losing her seat to the SNP, which would be an early Christmas present for us all, even though I personally despise the SNP nearly as much as I do the Lib Dems. At the end of the day, it will still be funny to see one of these most ardent Remainers get drained from the swamp that is Parliament. Now, let's see what she had to say in response to these savage attacks against her batshit crazy policy from both Leave and Remain voters.
Okay. So you've got an unhappy Leaver and an unhappy Remainer.
Okay. I mean, what I would say in terms of our policy, look, we are being very straightforward as a party that we want to stop Brexit. You might agree with us, you might disagree with us.
We just don't give a flying fuck what you think.
I don't think you can accuse us of not being upfront about wanting to stop Brexit. We have been crystal clear about that from the very beginning. Not for 1 second do I think that that means that you or anybody like you is stupid. I think it means we disagree.
And you didn't know what you voted for.
And I really want us to be in a situation in this country where we can disagree with each other, Catherine, and that means that you want to leave, and I don't think that makes you a bad person, and I want to remain in the EU, and I hope you think that doesn't make me a bad person.
You can disagree with me,
Yeah.
but you lost.
And
You don't get to keep disagreeing. You don't get to change it because you lost.
Look, I haven't changed my view on whether I think we are better off in the European Union. And watching what I have seen in the last 3.5 years, watching in Parliament MPs who voted to leave, who want Brexit, unable to agree amongst themselves about what Brexit looks like. So Theresa May proposes a Brexit that Boris Johnson doesn't think is Brexity enough. Boris Johnson proposes a Brexit that, first of all, Nigel Farage says he can't handle, but then who knows what discussions they've had and what's been offered in order to get him on board. If even those MPs who have been putting forward Brexit can't agree, I tell you, I genuinely don't have confidence there is a majority in this country for any specific type of Brexit. And when the government analysis says that Brexit will make our country poorer and it will mean people lose their jobs and there is less money for our NHS, if we really don't think that there is a majority for any specific type of Brexit, I think it would be irresponsible to go ahead with that without at least checking. So we've argued for a people's vote.
Okay,
and
but
in
then
this
what
election,
do you
we're
say?
saying if you vote Liberal Democrat and get a Lib Dem majority government, we will revoke Article 50. And if you don't, we will argue for a people's vote.
So what do you say to your former Lib Dem voter here?
You know, revoke, you're not saying we'll go back to the people. You are unilaterally saying revoke it. That is undemocratic from somebody who wishes the last 3.5 years had never happened. There is no difference between the pair of us.
Well, there it was. Jo's long-winded answer was essentially her just saying she doesn't care about what voters think, this is what she wants, and what she wants is king. Anyone who leads a party that will openly ignore the will of 17.4 million people doesn't really care about what people think. They want what they want or what their EU puppet masters want of them. At the end of the day, Jo Swinson doesn't care about what Remain or Leave voters say. But of course, Jo hasn't got the minerals to stand there and say, we don't care what you think, we know what's best for you. Instead, they try to sneak their way into seats by doing dirty packs and posting blatantly false polls that makes out they are close to challenging the incumbent MP for a given seat, when in actual fact, they were nowhere near. The only thing Jo Swinson and the Liberal Democrats are clear on is the fact that they want to revoke Article 50. I mean, to top it off, Jo Swinson actually tries to blame Brexiteers for not getting Brexit done, which is incredible. It's been the Remain Parliament all along, led by her, the Corbynated chicken, and the 21 Tory traitors who have obviously been working behind the scenes for a lot longer than the last few months that we all know about. Jo Swinson admitted herself that her and Dominic Grieve have been doing it for well over a year, which is something I made a video about. At the end of the day, it's great that audience members from both sides of the Brexit divide are calling out Jo Swinson's undemocratic ways, but she doesn't really care. It's not going to change her mind. She's still going to go down the same route. And the Remainer herself wants a second referendum, which is obviously not good. We voted the first time. You can't have a second referendum before the first one's been enacted. But Remain or Leave her, I don't care. It's always absolute gold to see Jo Swinson getting shit on. Nothing makes me happier than seeing this dopey bint get made to look like an idiot on national television. It's always good fun. But on that note, I'm going to end the video there. We all knew that Jo Swinson doesn't care what people think. But at least now the voters, and anyone who was bored enough to watch BBC Question Time last night, will also know. As always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you all in the next one.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. This Parliament is a disgrace. But they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.